So speaking of problems, here's a few or four problems that we're going to work our way through, and then we'll be able to check our answers and go from there. So I'm going to model how I identify my variables first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read the problem. It says calculate the density of a material that has a mass of 52.457 grams and a volume of 13.5 cubic centimeters. So I see that this first number here is really kind of important, and I think that I know which variable it is based on its unit, and its unit is grams. Mass is always equal to grams, so I'm going to put that here, 52.457 grams. The next number that I'm given says it's a volume of 13.5 cubic centimeters, and the cubic centimeter is always a hint that we have volume. So I have 13.5 centimeters cubed. So at this point, if I have two of the three variables, I can solve for the one that I'm missing. So I'm solving for density, which is this guy right here. So I'm going to start with my density formula, which is density is equal to mass over volume. And when I take density is equal to mass over volume, I'm now going to go and plug in my values. So density is equal to, I'm going to take that 52.457 grams, and I'm going to put that over the 13.5 cubic centimeters. And I'm going to extend this line. And then I'm going to plug that into my calculator. And when I plug that into my calculator, my calculator tells me that the density itself is going to be 3.88570 and 3704. Now, going back to our rules for significant figures, this mass up here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sig figs, and this volume down here has 1, 2, 3 sig figs. So my final answer has to have 3 sig figs. So that 5 is going to round that 8 up. So my actual density here is going to be 3.89, and it's going to be grams over cubic centimeters. Like so. So that's the first one. Now, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you pause the video and work your way through the second one and check to see how you did when you're done. So we're going to pause and work on example number 2. So I'm going to unpause here and show you how I identified my variables, and hopefully you got the right variables in the right spots. And now I'm going to pause again and solve. Okay, so now if you kind of followed along and got these things in the right spot, we took 39.943 grams divided by 22.7 milliliters, and when you did that, you ended up with 1.75 blah da 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 da, and then we rounded that to have 3 sig figures, so we got 1.76 grams per milliliter. Okay, all right, now 2 more examples. This next one is a little bit different. In this problem, you are asked to, you're told that the density of table salt is 2.16 grams per cubic centimeter. And so because it's grams per cubic centimeter, that tells me it's a density. So I'm going to put that over here, 2.16 grams per cubic centimeter. And the next number that you're given is transferring 2.34 grams of table salt to your dinner plate, which seems like a lot of salt. But because it's got grams, that tells me it's going to be my mass, which is 2.34 grams. And again, if you have 2 of the 3, you can solve for the third, which in this case is volume, but it also says what volume of table salt will you have. So that tells me I'm solving for volume. So I'm going to use the triangle of fun and find that volume formula is going to be equal to mass over density. So I am going to get my mass. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to pause, figure this out. All right, so I find that volume will be equal to mass over density, right? And so I'm going to plug in my volume, which is going to be, and I got a little bit of a glitch here, so bear with me. Okay. And so my mass is 2.36 grams, and that's going to be over my density, which is going to be 2.16, and that's going to be grams per cubic centimeter. And so get that to click over. I apologize for this. I think I need to reset my drivers. There we go. And so like so. All right, so now when I plug this into my calculator, 2.36 divided by 2.16, my volume gets kicked out to be 1.08, like 3. And so in this instance, I'm going to look at my sig figs. So 2.16 has 3 sig figs. 2.34 has 3 sig figs as well. So my final answer, 1, 2, 3, has to have 3 sig figs. So this is going to be my volume. It's going to be 1.08, and this is going to be centimeters cubed. All right, one more, and then we'll be done for today's lesson. Okay. So this problem says you have a piece of glass and you know its volume is 6.931, or I'm sorry, 6.91, and that's going to be centimeters cubed. You also know that you have a density of the glass to be, so it tells you that the density of the glass is 2.53 grams. So 2.53, and that's going to be grams per cubic centimeter. Oops. Oh yeah, centimeter. Let's see if I get the grams. So that's going to be grams, and like so. Now, we're going to set up our formula. So it's going to be density is equal to mass over volume. Oh, I lied. It's not even going to be that complicated. It's not even going to be that serious. Because if you remember, the formula for solving for mass is equal to, and I'm going to do this right away so I don't have to do a lot of flip-flopping, but mass is going to be equal to density times volume. So my density, so I've got density times volume. And so in this instance, my density is going to be 2.531. My density is going to be 2.53, and that's going to be grams over cubic centimeters. Times the volume, which is going to be 6.931, and that's going to be cubic centimeters. So at this point, when I plug these values into my calculator, I get, I'm just going to try to get that color that I want, which is making my life difficult. I apologize. Hope nobody. Okay. So my mass this time is going to have a final answer of 17.4823. And then we have 3 sig figs up top and 3 sig figs on for the volume. So our final answer's got to have 1, 2, 3 sig figs. That 8 will round that 4 up. So mass will be equal to 17.5, and that's going to be grams. So those are examples of the problems that you're going to have for homework. And we will go over the homework the next time we see each other in class. So Good luck with the homework, and we will talk soon.